Welcome back to another review and feedback. I'm Ritho, and we're going to go into a Zerg versus Protoss. Let's go ahead and jump to our S2 replay stats. As you can see, there's lots of supply blocks, so I'm hoping that's lots of action. MMR is in the mid-diamond-ish, lower diamond 1 area, upper diamond 2 area. So let's go ahead and jump in and see what we get. Gotta wait for it to load, as you all know. We have an unranked Zerg versus a ranked diamond. And we'll go ahead and see what we got. Go away, thank you. In the upper left-hand corner, we have in the red, the Zerg, who is the one that submitted this game, if I recall correctly. In the lower right-hand corner, we have the Protoss, which is the blue. These were submitted on Reddit. I believe it was all things Zerg. No, it was all things Protoss. Actually, I lied. It is definitely going to be the Protoss player that submitted. It's not that long of a game, so we won't do too much fast forwarding. As you know, building your wall on the low ground means that you have a base that's protected sufficiently for Protoss. Zerg comes in, goes ahead and wants to go for a natural here, but the probe was playing around. Probe saw the drone and then decided to come back. You can see what happens when you don't leave them on patrol for any length of time. You don't force them into the worst position of the natural, but that's okay. Because scouting is what you're really here for, finding out what time that gas goes down, what time that spawning pool is, etc. So the scout suggests that you can get the Nexus before core, which is exactly what happens. And then, of course, we're continuing to do our normal thing. We should have speed relatively quickly, as well as some queens and some lings. So no speed as of yet. There's speed. A couple seconds late. No big deal. Remember, we're on 2x speed right now. We'll slow it down when we get a little bit further into the game. It's early. We don't really... most games are very similar to this. But a few seconds here and there does make a lot of difference when you go into the higher levels. The diamond range, you're going to see some stuff that matters, but it's not going to be anything too crazy. And then we're going to have a queen fighting an adept, which is something as a Zerg player you would like, but you don't want to get too far off your creep. Slight miscontrol. Okay. Saw the Langs decided to cancel. This is a good call by the Protoss. Zerg is now spreading their creep. Did one inject first, so right now they've used all their larvae, which is great. So they've had 2 injects worth of larvae that have gone down. They have their second queen, they're going to inject right away. And they're spreading their creep to get to their third very quickly. Protoss on the other side of the map has 2 gate, Stargate, double Oracle production. Ooh, interesting. Well, Oracle queued production, I should say. And then has Stargate as well as their defenses ready. Getting ready to build a third base. Doesn't have any shield battery or anything like that. What is this? That was a misclick if I've ever seen one. They just used their recall. That's not good. Recall is one of the most powerful spells that Protoss has. You want to make sure that you do not make that mistake. If you do, it's okay. By no means am I saying that that's going to end the game. It just means that there's a lot of opportunities for your opponent to do some stuff that you're going to have struggles with. Oracle gets a total of 3 workers and then dies. This is something you don't want to have happen. The second Oracle is great, but the problem is that now you are blind to what your opponent's doing. You don't want to lose that unit. You could just skirt around the base. Don't even bother killing workers. The 3 workers are not worth the information that you gain. For example, knowing that your opponent's sending their lings across the map if you'd put your Oracle over here. Seeing that their worker, parking it over here, making them move their queens away, things of that nature that are just really annoying to deal with. The second Oracle is a great hold position, or a hold on that location. I do like that. They did cancel that. Shield battery came down. Nexus is about to finish. Really good hold. They're just not mineral walking. You have to mineral walk. I don't know where these probes are trying to get to. That's a good location. So where are you off to, probies? Trying to get another base or something? Well, this is something to be aware of. If you have a hold position unit, you can't walk through it unless you're going to the minerals. So you just want to make sure that you're very aware of your rallies and what you're doing to send your units out. 4 Adepts here. This is good to hold. Nothing crazy. Again, this is pretty normal mid-game. Not a lot of harassment. You'd probably be looking for something like Muta, Hydra, something along that lines in the near future. Oh, Stalkers. Gets 1 Ling. Nothing crazy. Again, so one of the things that, if you look at the difference between where we're at with regards to the Protoss versus Zerg, there's not a lot of things going on. Oh, come on. Get it. Drone. Getting those drones is nice. A little bit later than you'd like, but hey, it's better than nothing. There is a queen over here. So you should get 1, maybe 2 more drones and then get out. Get out. Yep, so 6 kills. This is the equivalency of 2 kills earlier on, so that 3rd kill is pretty close to what you'd look for. Spreading creep, getting a 4th. At the same time, 3rd base is getting completely established by the Protoss. The amount of harass by both players is very limited. Both players could improve by having more things going on. That being said, if we're doing just a straight macro play, which is what we're seeing here, the Zerg should grab another base, and that way there's lurkers. That way they are going to be able to explode with their workers. Obviously don't get supply capped as well. But like the number of, like, I'm just going to poke with 2 or 3 Lings, and I'm not going to do anything else. And then you don't have any swell of army, 11 Hydras, 17 Lings. I mean, that's... You have enough information to know what your opponent's doing, but not enough to... Like, God, it's... If you're fighting in a macro game, go macro. Like, really, truly macro. This army is perfectly fine. Lurker Den is great, but, like, get that extra base up as soon as you can. Make sure that you continue to expand very fast. There you go. Go ahead and get that extra base over here as well, because you know your opponent's not attacking at all right now. They're just kind of hanging out. They did supply cap themselves, which is really unfortunate for them. But, like, you're in a situation where you basically have both players sitting back on their heels waiting to do something. In order to get into the upper leagues, specifically like Diamond, specifically Masters or GM, you need to be a lot more active on the map. These 2 players are very passive. That's not a problem. The next level of play is to be able to go, not end up in the end game because your opponent's there. You don't want... Protoss usually does better end game, so as a Zerg, you want to, like, do something to slow them down or stop them. Like, this army should have attacked this, forcing this opponent to move these army, and then something else should come over here and be harassing the Adept. Maybe 3 Hydras and 10 Lings. The reason being is those 10 Lings can get in, those Hydras can kill the Adept, and then you can run away. That's really, really scary for Protoss if you're in their base, and they're going to freak out. And those, like, 10 Lings over here just hitting the next eye, or 15 Lings that are over here, is going to make it so that your opponent is struggling with regards to, yeah, you want to cancel that now. There's no point in trying to keep it. Good job. The Observer went down. Nice. It means that Creep Tumor is safe. Keep that vision. Continue to expand your creep as you can. A couple free Stalkers. Not too bad. Your opponent is Stalker heavy, which means that this is a good grab. Re-expand a creep. Take Queen, put a bunch of tumors out here. You should have at least a couple of Queens that are just running around ready for that. I would have canceled that so quick. I don't know. That's a sketchy finish. That's a good call in the defense, but that's a sketchy finish. I'd probably take out these rocks so that way you have a much faster route to their base. Maybe even these rocks while you're idling. Because as a Zerg, more paths is better for you. Generally speaking, the only thing you have to worry about is run-bys and zealots, which this opponent, they're going a lot of Warp Gate. I don't know the exact count. Oh, that's a lot of Robo. But you want to make it so that you have the most space available for you to be able to, like, run your units in and take out stuff or kill the things that matter. Ooh, Disruptor Ball's crazy. I don't... As a Zerg player, this fight looks really, really ugly. I do like that they eventually killed all of the vision. That means that all of these lurkers are going to struggle, and with the exception of the Observer. because there's so many, like, you just can't Revelation. Lurkers are really tough at Diamond. They just are. So what happened here was, let's go back and just watch the fight like talk about it for a second. So we macroed for 10 minutes. And then there was one fight. One. And the Zerg baited his opponent in by pushing his army, his Hydra army in. And the Lurkers did a bunch of damage, and he tried to fight on top of the Lurkers with a ball of Stalkers, which were not focusing down the Lurkers. So in Diamond, Lurkers are really, really extraordinarily powerful. The reason being is most players in Diamond don't have enough vision when they're building their armies. They just don't do it. The other bit that you need to note is like the Protoss didn't make any advantages at all, with the exception of killing this one, or not even killing, delaying this one base for the entirety of the game. They killed, what, 9 workers? That's it. 9 workers out of an entire 10-minute game. They didn't do anything with regards to shutting down, like keeping them on 3 base. There was no, here's, Phoenixes taking out all of your overlords, making it really annoying. There was no zealot run-bys. You just had the one attack with the Stalker group. And this is a 3.5, 3.6k Protoss versus a 4k Zerg. The difference literally was just being able to get up to their powerhouse army they wanted, which is Lurkers, Hydras. That's it. Some Lings, right? Not a crazy powerful army. I mean, they hit 200, but like, this base is oversaturated. You're not responding until after it's under attack, which is fine. I get it. The disruptor balls were great. The disruptors need to stay back. Like, where you are right now, this is a good position. Other than these being way up front. Like, you needed to keep your disruptors back. So, controlling that was important. Which you didn't do, which is fine. But the disruptor has a, like, you shouldn't fight on this at all, ever. Like, you're not attacking down the Lurkers, and you're just fighting on top of it. So let's go back, like, 20 seconds. This is a, hey, I think I have a bigger army. They have Lurkers. I know they have Lurkers. And I'm losing my disruptor balls. How do you fight this? Like, I know that the music stops when I pause it, which is really, really sad. All of your Stalker, like, not all, half of your Stalkers are no shield. Your opponent has a pretty sizable number of Lurkers and a pretty sizable number of Hydras, and has vision. Your vision is 2 obs, both of which you're just moving over to it after the blink. So when these overseers come over, they're going to just kill them. You're not focusing down the Lurkers with these Stalkers. Like, you need to, like, if you blinked in, focus that down. Blinked in, focus that in. Blinked in, focus that one down. This fight would be 2 Lurkers versus what you see on screen, right? These 2 plus all the Hydras, which is sketchy to begin with. Immortals aren't good against this. You don't have Storm. You don't have Colossi. You're just in a situation where you have to use disruptors, and they take forever to explode, right? They just take forever. And you sent all 3 balls to the same location. You did kill like 3 or 4 Lurkers, which is great. But you didn't know how many exactly they had. What I would have done is I'd have probably put this observer like right here into siege mode, and this one over here into siege mode. Tried to kill their overseers. Sacrifice the base. This base is gone. Don't even worry about it. Pull all your workers. Send them over here. Start building another base over there. Take your Oracle. Do Revelation to see what you can't see on the back end. It's okay to be patient, is what I'm really trying to say. Right? Yeah, you're going to be behind. Yeah, you're in a situation where you're in trouble. But you have 2 Colossi that are about done. Well, at least one that's about done. You have Thermal Lance on the way. Okay, fine. It's going to take forever to get there. But had you just saved on the high ground with this army, you could have easily acquired this base and been good to go to protect against the Lurkers long term. You could use your disruptor balls more than once had you controlled them to keep them back, right? Like, you need them on a separate group. You don't. You have a whole everything here. And so what you did was you basically moved your disruptors, which is your counter to the lurker, into the lurkers and hydras and lings, and they all died. That's why your disruptors were way over here against lings, and your army was fighting up here. That's just a recipe for a loss. That being said, at the beginning of the fight, you did a really, really good job. So we go back right around here. Right, you're in a good position. You saw your opponent, they were coming at you. You did a really good job of knowing that they were on their way. I don't know if I would have stayed on the high ground as well. Maybe come down on the low ground and prevent that from happening. And have, like, split the army in two, do the disruptor thing, and then call it a day. So that was an amazing start. You're in an awesome position right now. I would pull my workers right now. This is when you'd have pulled. Said, okay, that's too much army. My disruptors are on cooldown. I only have one shot left. I know there's lurkers. Let's kill these overseers and then kill what I can without trying to defend this base. Maybe even warp in a bunch of zealots, just like the 6 zealots that you have space for. Because these are all not under production, right? 6 zealots, have them move all the way up here, kill this base, have them come across, right? Just like 6 zealots, rally, and then go back to the fight after you had killed these overseers. The reason that you do that is because specifically you want to distract your opponent. Those six zealots that you have supply for will make it so that you're able to do the damage that you need to do to make it so that when your base goes down, it's okay. We're not going to lose the game. But it also makes it so that your opponent has something else to deal with other than just focusing on this fight. And all you're doing is like 3 clicks, other than like Q and dropping a bunch of zealots with the minerals you have. You kill off these overseers, then you can put your observers on top of the army. They can't do anything about it. And then you just kill the stuff with the disruptors. Lose the base, whatever. When they decide to pull back, blink in, snipe at least 1 lurker, if not 2, and then keep doing your thing. Right? Like, it's important you don't lose the space, but it's not so important you lose the game. That's really what it comes down to. So you're over-eager, which is fine. Look, I make that mistake all the time. It's totally legit. It happens literally all the time. I wouldn't worry about it too much. This is something to think about the next time you're in a game. It's like, do I need to fight this right this second? If I fight it, do I win the game? And you instead lost. You didn't even finish killing that lurker. They have 4 lurkers right now. It sucks. So that's game over. You lost all your probes here. That could be long distance mining. You could be in a situation where you have a massive army right here and you're able to stop the situation that you're in, etc. All right. So let's go back a little bit more in time so I can talk about what was good, what was bad. Beyond what I've already talked about, we're going to probably recap it a little bit. The good. Both players expanded. They kept going. They kept growing. They did a good job of producing workers, maxing out, all those wonderful things. What we didn't do very well was follow-ups. We didn't identify that we were in a macro game and then build earlier expansions when we had the money. Obviously, we don't have the money this very second, but at some point we did. We could have grabbed this base. We had like 3K plus at the end of the game. So this should have been grabbed like 7 minutes versus when it's grabbed now. That's on the Zerg side of things. On the Protoss side of things, macro game, go ahead and grab that extra base. Make sure that you're doing stuff like that. Both players did not harass enough. They had, two or 3 attacks from the Zerg, which were just lings, until the final decision match. The Void Array was another attack, and that's about it. And then this attack. And then obviously the Oracles, which did kill 9 workers total. That's it, 9. Right now, this Void should already be on its way over. Literally killing it right now. Should be over there. You have to make them make a decision. You're not multi-pronging. You're just attacking from two different sides. which is you're too slow with regards to that stuff. Also, you can rally and Q jump with your rallies, right? You just say you hold down your shift, you do rally with blinking, and they'll stack all up, and then they'll blink across. You'll lose maybe the same amount, maybe none. I don't. With this, I probably would have grabbed like half blinked, and then grabbed half and then blinked once I had like gotten it closer. But that's a lot of micro. I probably would have done the honestly at my skill level right now. I'd have done the exact same thing you did and lost those 2 stalkers. That being said, stalkers are not very good units. They fall off really hard once you get to the after mid game. You don't want any more than like 10. Like you're a little saturated with stalkers. They're not high DPS for their cost, and you're building more. There's not very tanky either. They have a little bit of tankiness. Don't get me wrong, but they're just not. How do I put it? They're not the best with regards to what you want for your army. Like zealots would have probably been better to deal with these lings. Having colossi be better. Having more just general like more late game tech. I like stalkers a lot. I think there's a lot of potential to do a lot of damage and do really well with them. The problem is that they are just not very like against Hydra, which is a very dense, high DPS unit. You need Colossus, you need Storm, you need any kind of unit that's going to do AoE, that's going to be able to slow down, like that's going to just sweep over them. If you had Storm at that point in the game, which you were getting Twilight Council for basically second, which means you should have had Storm, those Hydras would have been completely smoked. Gosh. So here's the good. Both of you did really well with macro. There was very few times that you weren't producing workers when you should have been producing workers. Both of you had some kind of attention on the other side of the map. You didn't do a really good job of scouting with it, okay? But you did get an idea of what your opponent was doing and where they were, which is great. It's hard to do. Anything below diamond, like that's probably the reason you're doing diamond. You're above diamond at this point, or in diamond. But like controlling units like this, right? You have 2 workers that are just stuck. Your pressure that you're putting is very minimal, right? There's not a lot of how do I phrase this? You're not doing anything across the map that really hinders your opponent. Sure, you supply capped them, but like they built 4 observers before you did anything with it. You didn't have enough army to do the damage. You only killed 6 workers total with your harass, which 4 of which were 9 workers total. 4 of which was very late. You know, the Zerg killed 0, so like Ling run-bys weren't really a thing. Killing this adept and getting in is really powerful. You need to have a shield battery here, just because this is like important to not lose this building, lose this wall. And you're using adept to hold it. They're gonna eventually, if they're really good, they'll send, as I said, 3 or 4 Hydras. About 10 Lings, and they'll just straight up kill it. Lings goes in, Hydras go away, and you're just in trouble because your army is way over here versus like here-ish. And then when you eventually have this base, and you're going to have your army here because you want them close to the middle of your front bases, they then have a lot more opportunity here, especially if they're going to attack here. They saw the Robo coming, so Colossus is really far away. So they're going to build appropriately, which is lurkers. So I really think both of you did well. There's anything terribly wrong. Harass is a little light. Macro, knowing that you're going macro and your opponent's also going macro, you guys didn't expand as fast as I would like to have. There's a lot of floating money here and there. Obviously, you can see 1,500, 10K, or 1K, and then eventually the Zerg has like 5K at the end of the game. Like, they didn't... The final fight happened, and they're like, okay, game over. They're like, they had like supply headroom and stuff like that. They weren't getting ready for their follow-up or counter, for the counter if they had failed. Just little things here and there. I don't know about the Void Ray. I probably would have gone Phoenix, gotten 2 Phoenixes instead, and used those to kill Overlords that are just out and about. Like, just free gas, or sorry, free mineral kills that'll make it so your opponent is much more blind. The Void Ray, not a bad idea to kill the hatchery, right? Like, if you have it, cool. You're not really faking anything. You're not like, oh, look, I have this, right? Yeah. Also, you built a DT shrine and you didn't ever build any DTs. I probably would have made that a Templar Archive, gotten Storm, and that way I could counter Hydra, which you know they're going after using your Void Ray over here. Sorry. Little things. Yeah, good games. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. And we'll see you around next time. Bye-bye.